right now.
Okay, I also started my stream. Yes, we are getting live in YouTube and in YouTube and on Twitch as well. Hey there.
Hey Marco, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey Marco.
Good evening from Germany to Canada.
Yeah. So what time is it right now with our in Germany? It's more or less 10 o'clock.
Yes, it's 10 o'clock in the evening, and I'm looking forward to talk about not only HeliumDeploy, but also about the current price situation that we have going on in Helium and whatever you guys want to discuss.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. Are we live, George?
Yeah, we're currently live. We have people coming in. We have the last Vader that's here. We have Crunchy Nut. Hey,
Okay,
how are you?
perfect.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Thank you for taking your time.
Absolutely. We'll kick it
Marco,
off in a few minutes.
Yeah, I really hope it's not interfering with your stream on your end, Marco.
No, I think everything should be fine. Pardon?
Okay, perfect. Because on my end, you're kind of lagging, but I hope that on your, which is fine, but I hope on your end it's not lagging.
As long as you can hear me well, I think it's fine.
Perfect. We do hear you perfectly well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Hyos. Everything's good in you?
Okay, nice. Do you want to start off right away?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let me just. Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with high level. The subject that I think we wanted to discuss with Marco, and thank you for taking the time to show up on our webinar. We wanted to chat first of all about the future of HNT, the price. Marco has a lot of opinions on it, so we're happy to get his thoughts. Then we'll chat about the usability of the network on HNT, how it's going to look like. Marco has some thoughts about this, and then we'll kick off into the segue that regards the recent drop of Bitcoin, and which of course includes a dip of HNT, and see what are Marco's thoughts on this. So those would be the three main subjects, and the floor is yours, Marco. I'm going to do a quick intro about yourself and kick it off.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm Marco. I started my crypto channel back in 2017. And in the last few months, the main topic of my channel has been Helium. And to be quite honest, I didn't pay that much attention to the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum simply because of the fact that, of course, it's important. Of course, it's like what basically makes the market tick. But at the end of the day, phases where Bitcoin drops by a lot and everything else drops as well are so normal. And in my opinion, right now, panic is like the worst thing that you could do. Or maybe, I don't know, try to cut your losses. Like, why would you do that? Like, when you have a Helium miner or you maybe bought HNT, I assume that you have bought it. I mean, of course, most people, let's not kid ourselves, are in it for the money. But at the end of the day, the value that comes from Helium is that the coverage that it brings with Internet of Things devices. And we will have so much more Internet of Things devices in the future. Currently, it's, in my opinion, a pioneer project that simply has some growth pain going on because it's something that has never been done before. And I think that the Helium developers are very transparent when it comes to issues, that they try to communicate as much as possible with the community on Discord, which I appreciate a lot. And yeah, if you are in it for the technology, I think this phase will not really bother you much because you know that it will come to an end sooner or later, in my opinion. Of course, it might take a while. Who knows if it will be months or years? Nobody knows that. But all that we know is that I think that we will need this Internet of Things network for our planet, for our devices. And guys, as far as I know, Helium has done the best job so far in providing that. If you know any other solution, I would love to hear it, but I don't know one.
Absolutely, I think that makes sense. And what are your thoughts about like the usability of the network? Where do you think is the network gonna? I feel like, you know, like as soon as the network start to be used, this is where and people start burning HNT to use the network. I feel that's gonna drive the coin super up. Obviously. So, how do you see the network being used over time?
I feel that's one thing that many people are a little bit confused about right now is why does Helium have value? Like where does the value of one HNT come from? And it's not necessarily that it's being used like crazy right now. It's more that people have such a high opinion of HNT that more people buy than sell. So that's what drives the price up. And just the fact that without a crazy amount of burning because of use, we have already gotten to this price range, I think shows that we're headed towards a good direction. And furthermore, something that I have seen that my viewers were very concerned about was the halving, or for example, this 1 to 1000 split. I don't know which hip mechanism that was. Yeah. But there was some concern about that. And as far as we have seen historically, whenever a coin gets halved or a split happens, usually that doesn't necessarily mean that it's smaller in value, especially with halvings. It becomes, the supply becomes smaller, so the demand gets higher and it drives the price actually up. So we will see a small dip whenever Bitcoin goes down, for sure. But I mean, I put a lot of my faith into the Helium core development team, that they are doing a good job, and I think the snowball that is Helium is growing very slowly right now, in my opinion. But I have seen that they are acquiring customers basically quite regularly now. I think Costco, Toyota are some new ones to join. And as the network shows itself to be stable and running and provides coverage, I think more and more companies are going to get interested in that. More and more devices and companies are going to use it. And we'll hopefully see a nice price appreciation of our pretty HNT.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, like George and I were talking when the halving happened in I think August.
Yes,
August, that's like,
right. And yeah, we're like, and we're like, it's double in price. But what I found interesting, seeing it firsthand, was that double in price right away, right? Like it took time before it started gathering momentum into getting into those double zones. I think in August the coin was around like $9.
It was around 9-11. It was around $11 at that time. And the reality is, when the halving was approaching, we weren't expecting it to drastically like cut in half. And the reality is that's exactly what happened. I wasn't too worried about that because from experience, like when other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin goes through halving, the price of like the value of the coin goes up. And people were panicking because when the halving happened, people were expecting it to drastically go up instantly, which wasn't the case. Of course not. We just had to be patient. But then we had some very good news. We had Anderson Horowitz that invested on Helium, and there was more partnership, which drastically increased the price of Helium, which was very, and a lot of people really saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and were happy about like where Helium was actually heading.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, what I found super interesting yesterday, I was chatting with one of our colleagues, Abel, sales department. One of the interesting things that came up is like, hey man, you remember when Bitcoin was worth 35,000 in like July 2021? HNT was valued at $9. That was a correlation. Bitcoin 35,000, HNT $9. Today Bitcoin is around 35 and at 25. That just shows how much HNT like outgrew or gathered so much momentum across those few months, because at the same price point of 35,000 for BTC, HNT is now worth 25 as opposed to $9, which I found super interesting.
Yeah, but there will always be a small correlation, and unfortunately, we are tied to some sort of human subjective tendency, and I mean, the technology hasn't changed. So you can clearly see that the influence of the price is very subjective, and it doesn't. It's it doesn't have to do anything with the technology. And I have seen, for example, we have this huge Telegram group in this German Telegram Helium group that as soon as the HNT price goes down, that people start to lose their patience a little quicker when it comes to technical issues, and they say, "Oh, Helium is dying." And in my opinion, whoever is listening to this and is starting to panic or start to get emotionally involved when his cryptocurrencies or tokens or whatever are going down, I think you should seriously consider your mental health, because it's very volatile and it's not healthy to always stress so much about these assets. Like, maybe it's just not for you, is what I'm trying to say. So the technology is fine. Like the price going up and down, those are just phases that have been around since the initial start of Bitcoin back like over 10 years ago. So it's nothing new.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think the interesting things is that if you still like calculate the price of today HNT and you still mark down like how much people are mining on average, which is like 0.14 a day.
Yes.
That's still, as of today's price, like you ROI on your machine, you get your money back on average within like with today's price, and we're talking about a dip. It's a dip,
Yes,
which is
yes.
crazy, but it's a dip, and you get your money back in 10 months. It's 10 months of
To be
return on
fair,
investment,
that's
which is
also
nuts.
influenced a lot
it's
by how
actually
much
so
you pay
appealing.
for your machine.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I'm saying exactly. I'm saying if you would buy it from like a reseller like HeliumDeploy for like
Which is the
800
ideal
or 900,
scenario, of course.
that's the ROI of like 8 to 10 months.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
that's the average scenario. Not a, yeah, that's on 0.14. So I found that super interesting. And if it wasn't for the dip, because the way that I'm doing my calculation, I think people would be interested about this. It's the average mining right now per machine is 0.14 HNT per day. That's the average.
Yes.
And if you with the price of today times the like you get your money back. If you actually outperform this, it's even better. Or if you sell when the price is higher, which is like $35 or $40, and you assume that that's the price, then it's ROI of 5 months. I found that super interesting because we obviously, George and I, mine other machines. You know, George hit the jackpot. Yeah, George hit the jackpot with the K85. I was so jealous. I didn't jump on that. But George like hit the jackpot with the K85, and except for the K85, which is like a glitch, other machines like with today's dip, other machines, your ROI is like 16 months as of with today's price. So I found Helium to be still super profitable and interesting from that point.
And even if we talk about the average, which is 0.14 HNT per day, I think you have to take into consideration that if you know what you're doing, I think that 0.14 is still at the lower end of the spectrum. If you, like, for example, maybe can't, if you can't provide a high location to witness a lot of other miners, then you maybe have a friend or a colleague, and if you know what you're doing, like, and you use the right antenna, then 0.14 is just the beginning. And some of my viewers tend to like calculate their ROI in like dollars or euros, which I think is not the proper way to go. I think you should always view it in HNT. And there are people asking me on feedback on their hotspots who like earn above the network average, which is like these 0.14 we're talking about. And I think that if you are in that zone, if you earn more than 0.14, that's already fantastic. But if you know what you're doing, 0.14 is just the beginning.
Right. And I'm happy you brought this up, Marco. That's such a cool tool that the Helium actually added on the app itself and on the Explorer, which gives you an average of the rewards on a daily
you can
basis.
compare yourself.
Let's say it would show you exactly, which is super great to compare yourself to see if you're making some decent rewards. And someone was asking here on the Twitch channel, which I would like to elaborate on that, or Marco, you could. They were asking, what do you think about cheating hotspots like GPS spoofing in the Helium network? Is that lowering the rewards? I personally would not recommend it, but I would be more than happy to have Marco elaborate on that, about spoofing locations.
Man, when we talk about spoofing, like the thing that most people think of is the big spoofing formations that we see, for example, in China. And that, of course, is an issue where you have to face the reality that if everybody in the Helium network just obeys the rules, we'll be Gucci. But as soon as just one person starts to fall out of line and starts spoofing, like that is already a danger for the others. So I really hope that Helium will find a way of figuring out who is spoofing, especially the ones that are spoofing like shamelessly, as we would say it in Germany. But in my opinion, if somebody there are people that have 2 miners in one apartment and they change the location by a few meters, technically that's spoofing. But if they don't have any other option and they still improve the network overall, okay, fine, do that. But if everybody starts breaking the rules all of a sudden, Helium will implement something that will, pretty much be a big party pooper for everybody who's spoofing. And that's also one thing that we need to consider in the future. Like, for example, I was talking oftentimes about not the omnidirectional antennas, but the directional antennas. And there are people who create spectacular results with the directional antennas. However, how good is a directional antenna from 20-30 kilometers away for tracking a scooter or some Internet of Things device? The answer is that most people who are familiar with LoRa, they will probably say it's not that great. So at the moment, you might be earning a lot of HNT. However, in the long run, if Helium says that's not good for the network, we are at the mercy of Helium Incorporated, and we need to be ready to get to see some drastic changes when it comes to the algorithm. I just hope that they will make it fair and punish the guys who are actually spoofing and decreasing the quality of the network and maybe neglecting if somebody is only off by a few meters.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
Yeah, but as a matter of fact, Marco, they already started imposing stuff to tightening the screw, like they would say.
It's HIP 93, right? No, 39.
Which is super great because exactly because, for example, ourselves, when we initially started our company, like I introduced myself to you before, and for people who are new to our channel, initially how we started our company is that we were deploying those miners. And we were investing a good amount of money on proper installation to have decent, very good rewards. As a matter of fact, by doing very good installation, we're doubling or even tripling our rewards. And then I found it sad that people were taking advantage of spoofing their location, and they were penalizing us who were investing more money to have proper installations. And then the whole China thing happened, where when Bobcat initially launched our units, and they were the first ones to fulfill in China, you would see their hexagons in China. It was just ridiculous. They were just perfect hexagons. Yeah. So it was clear to everyone else that they were spoofing their network. And a lot of people were complaining about it, including myself. And initially, Helium were not taking any actions about it. It was out of their control. But I'm glad that eventually with the new POC, they started tightening the screws, and they're actually penalizing people for spoofing their location. And as a matter of fact, we had Daniel from Hotspotty last week on a webinar, which he built as such an amazing tool. And he was showing us on his tool, you were able to see so many hotspots that were actually being blacklisted from the network. So that's why I personally would not recommend spoofing your location. It's not worth it, guys. You're just cheating the system. You will eventually get caught up.
Agreed. Also, I think there's a couple of people asking the chat, where can you get hotspot from? As of today, from HeliumDeploy, we have a drop at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. York time. You'll be able to get yourself a miner. Those will be shipped in the week of February 15th. Just as a heads up. So, yeah, go ahead, Marco.
And since we are talking here about Helium, and many of my viewers are, of course, German speaking, I want to again thank you so much for setting aside a small amount of the batch to launch during normal European times. So not at 4 in the morning, but maybe, for example, at 10 in the morning. Just wanted to say thank you very much to HeliumDeploy. And also, I think something I said in private, but I just want to say again in this stream for everybody. When it comes to buying miners, like, so many people are unfortunately afraid of falling for shops that promise fast delivery, cheap prices, but never deliver, and people are afraid of getting scammed. So you should appreciate guys like HeliumDeploy that show their faces, as juvenile as that might sound, but it's just like in a digitalized world where we are talking about Internet of Things, the human face is still a good thing to see. And yeah, just it's nice to know who is operating behind those websites and those shops.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. So yeah, absolutely. So for Marco's for representing Europe, he asked us if it's possible for us to open the drop for European models also tomorrow at 10 a.m. and we will open our drop for European people at 10 a.m. So as of Marco pointed out, like, our drop is open at 8 p.m. which makes it, like, I think 4 a.m. for European people. So we'll open back our drop at 10 a.m. Said, I want to go back on the spoofing subject. I had a conversation with Synchrobit CTO, and he was telling me that a bunch of people who spoofed were flying under the radar for the Helium, like, technical team. They weren't really looking into it, but in December it got so bad, so bad, they actually had to ban a manufacturer. They banned Cotex for possible spoofing. It's not clear if they spoofed. It's not clear if they did or they didn't. They claim they didn't, but they got banned. They opened a blacklist of miners where they went crazy on blacklisting a bunch of miners in December. So I think the answer to that is do not spoof. Like, you're ruining the network if you do that. You ruin it for everyone. And on top of this, Helium will get you this time. So do not spoof.
Yeah,
so
there is a big danger that Helium will get you for that, of course.
And they will blacklist your miner right away. It's not that much worth it. To be frank, in all honesty, we are against spoofing from the get-go, but the opportunity for spoofing was like 9 months ago when they weren't looking at it. Now it's just like not the right time. They're laser and they're looking at miners who are trying to spoof. So don't do it. You'll blacklist your miner. Your miner is it's not gonna work. So just play the fair game. There's still a bunch of money to be made if you can help the network. Yeah, so that's my thoughts about this.
All right.
Right. So I think we're gonna keep it short and sweet because I know it's super late over there in Germany for you, Marco. So let's jump to this question that we often ask our guests on the show. So I believe that you're super bullish on Helium, which we are. And you're no financial advisor. We're no financial advisors either. But where do you see the price of Helium going in the next year, in the next years?
I mean, from the levels we see right now, we could see, if I think, like, the most insanely positive scenario where I would already be like, okay, wow, this is beyond my expectations, would be if it would tenfold from now.
Okay. So in the range of $200.
Yes,
That's
and
your
I'm
biggest
still.
expectation.
It's not my biggest expectations, but I just don't want for somebody one day to like say, "Oh, what you said back then on the 26th of January." So I'm still being a little conservative when I'm talking about $200.
Yeah,
But maybe also
I
just
feel
this what I just said will one
yeah,
day like be like people will laugh at me about $200. Who knows? Who knows?
but I think it's fair. I think it's, in all honesty, is fair. Like $200 is a
Very
very,
fair.
it's very fair. Like in terms of the highest expectation. Again, like what you're saying is not something that could happen tomorrow. It's the highest expectation, and I think at $200 a coin, I think that a lot of people in this chat, like everybody in the Helium world, very wealthy. So I think it's a I think we don't need to overshoot more than that. What's your thoughts for like a short term by the end of 2022?
I think we have to look at Bitcoin when it comes to Helium price. Unfortunately, for some people, this is like this event that we're seeing right now is a reminder how closely tied everything else is to Bitcoin. And we have seen that so many people, including a lot of YouTube influencers, have said that by the end of the year, we will have the $100,000 Bitcoin. And we see that the reality on YouTube and the reality in the markets can be quite disattached sometimes. So I don't want to be a fortune teller when it comes to the price at the end of the year. I really can't tell. It will be like a coin toss, even less likely than a coin toss.
Mm-hmm. I see that. So let me make that question a little simpler. Do you see it in the range of like 25 to 50, or in the range of like 50 and up?
25 to 50 or 50 to 100. Let's keep it more simple. By the end of this year.
I think that I will give you a range. I think that the bottom that we could reach with Helium, maybe we are right now already at the bottom. I mean, I see a lot of like it's really hard for Helium at the moment to go under $20, and I think that Bitcoin would need to dip a lot more for Helium to get under $20. So I don't know, and maybe if Bitcoin dips even lower, we might see a $10 HNT price. However, if it goes up, maybe 200 is on the playing field.
Nice.
I think that makes total sense. I think that makes total sense. What's your thought, George? Maybe we can close it at. Maybe we'll close it after you give your thoughts, and I'll give my thoughts, and we call it a webinar. I think people would be curious to know what George thinks.
Right. I would like to share my thoughts about that. As a matter of fact, it's something that I've been talking a lot lately with you guys, with my business partners and my friends as well, families. 2022 is heading. Right now, it's off on a bad start with what's happening with the dip, but it's not something that I'm worried about. It's something that I've encountered on the past years. Like history repeats itself. And as a matter of fact, like the news that was brought up today with the Fed is actually good news. So we're back on a bull run. I would expect a bull run all the way up to March. I'm expecting Helium to reach all the way up to $100 by the end of this year, super easily. Super easily. And the reason why is because I'm very bullish on Web 3.0. So if people don't know what Web 3.0 is, I'll share a quick article with you guys. I'll make it very quick. So Web 3.0 is something that you guys are going to hear a lot about in the next year. So basically, I'll read it out loud. You may have often come across the term Web 3.0 over the past year in discussions relating to cryptocurrency, metaverse, non-fungible tokens, which is NFTs, and decentralized finance DeFi spaces. So it's something that we already started hearing about it in 2021, but we're going to hear about it a lot more this year and moving forward. Web 3.0 is the next iteration of the internet that focuses decentralization. It aims to create a level of transparency where smart contracts will control user data and transactions instead of decentralized organizations, such as, for example, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, Amazon. But automated transactions require cryptocurrencies. These coins and tokens that will support Web 3.0 are basically decentralized projects using smart contracts to automate transactions over the internet. Here's a list of the top decentralized projects or Web 3.0 tokens to keep an eye on in 2022. So that's an article written by CNBC. And one of those projects is for sure Helium. And as you can see, Helium is a decentralized blockchain platform that aims to improve the communication abilities of Internet of Things, IoT devices. The Helium mainnet allows for low-powered communication between various devices and sends data across its vast network of nodes. Users who operate the node within the network in Helium are rewarded with Helium's native token HNT. The network runs on proof of coverage consensus mechanism that allows nodes and network to reach a consensus with the connection quality varies. So I'm well, you can see the difference between Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, which is where we're heading at. So as you can see here, we're currently on 2.0, but we're moving forward to 3.0. So normal centralized companies taking over and collecting your data, such as Facebook, Snapchat, AWS. We're moving forward to a decentralized network. So I'm super bullish on anything that is moving forward on Web 3.0, and Helium is one of those projects.
Yeah, nobody needs these centralized behemoths that are hungry for our data and do whatever they want with that. Like, I think people are so much more in favor of a decentralized structure that doesn't require this centralized power that comes with a lot of responsibility, and we have seen a lot of times where this responsibility has been not treated with enough respect.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that's well said, Marco. They're building a lot of they're building a lot of power, and they can do a lot of things that are not good for society at some point. So, like George said, Web 3.0 might be the solution. I'll give you a quick rundown of my thoughts, and then we can call it a day. I think we'll see HNT over $50. I think we saw it not too long ago at $50 in 2021. We'll see HNT back over $50. I feel like we had Nick on the show last time, and I feel like he said something cool. He said that his expectation would be that Helium would close a big deal with one of maybe shipping company that would start using the network, and one of those big companies could be like FedEx or UPS or one of those big giants. And I feel that it's very possible at this point, based on just how many hotspots have been deployed and how much coverage Helium has. So I feel with that being an option, and an option that's very possible, I can see HNT with usage from a big corporation like this go to between $50 to $75 by the end of this year.
Right. And on the carrier aspect, it's already the case. They've already partnered up with Dish Network in the US, and there's a lot more. I expect a lot more joining in. And on the IoT aspect, which is the lower one, just like Emil stated, we'll definitely see more shipping carriers joining in and partner up with Helium.
Absolutely. Well, on that, I think I just want to be mindful of time. We passed our 30-minute mark, and I want to respect your time, Marco.
Get some rest.
Yeah, exactly. Get some rest. We'll open back the drop tomorrow at 10 a.m. to let European people jump in. Only European people. So for North American people, it's at 8 p.m. tonight. And thank you so much, Marco, for joining us on the chat. Maybe you can do more of those as we continue your collaboration together.
It will be my pleasure. Let's just hope that, I'll have to see what my viewers say, but I see they are quite active in the YouTube chat. So quick shout out to the YouTube chat of Crypto Marco. Thank you very much for bearing with me, even though we are not in German. But I thought spontaneously, let's give it a try. And wish you guys a great drop. And once more, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco.
Bye bye.
Take care, guys. And Emil, last outro. Here's the job.